Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sega Mega Master Show. We have Viraj. Hello, Viraj.
Hey, what's up going, Dan? We're all good. We're good here.
All good, mate. And we have Rick here today too. Now, Rick can't see us. He's got some technical problems, so he's flying blind. He's doing a bit of a Stevie Wonder on us. But we're gonna be all right. We'll get through it, and we're going to be talking about Ghouls N Ghosts today. So we'll get this show on the road. And Ghouls N Ghosts, okay, what we have here is a 1989 Sega port of the classic 1988 Capcom arcade game. Sega's version was programmed by none other than the legendary Jailbird Yuji Naka, who we all know for Sonic's fame. And as you can see, it's an action platforming game. It has 5 stages, but it's also renowned for making the player play through these stages twice in order to beat the game. Okay, so we'll go around the lads and we'll get the memories. So first of all, Rick, your memories or your first memories of Ghouls N Ghosts, mate.
Okay, so as you know, Ghouls N Ghosts might as well be called Ghosts and Goblins 2 because it is a continuation of that franchise, being the second installment of that. My first impression, my first experience with that franchise was the original Ghosts and Goblins arcade machine. And my friends and I used to love playing that. It was in they had the local restaurant around the corner had a arcade. We would play that game, so we were really familiar with the story and stuff. So when the Genesis version came out, I was really excited for it. I bought it immediately. I think it might have been like one of the third or fourth game that I bought for the Genesis, and I was just instantly in love. It was everything that Ghosts and Goblins was and more, and I've pretty much grown up with it and have loved it throughout the years. It's really, really awesome game.
Nice one, mate. Nice one. What about you, Viraj? Your memories of it, mate?
My memories of it was when my father had bought it for the Mega Drive when I was a kid. But it's like one of those like daddy games that he bought for himself. Like Desert Strike is a proper daddy game, right?
Yeah, man.
So he bought that for himself, and I played it for a bit. I think I managed to get past like the first level as a kid, and that was it. And I didn't bother playing afterwards. I think my dad, in the end, he returned it because back then he worked in retail in the shop which sold this stuff, so he could return it. And these were expensive games, let's be honest, and he'd rather spend it on a game that was worthwhile. So I played it for a short time. I enjoyed it then. The game has had a notorious reputation throughout the years as being difficult, and there have been other Mega Drive games I've played since then. However, for the purpose of this video, I thought I'd go back and play it. I had played it recently when the Mega Drive Mini came out, featured here, and it's one of the games included on the Mega Drive Mini original. So you got the original. That's it. You actually have the actual game, which is amazing. So obviously the gauntlet's been thrown because I can't possibly review a game unless I play it thoroughly and beat it. And obviously, like with Revenge of Shinobi before this, you guys, both of you guys, really tasked me with this one. So, I played it. Hey, listen, I played it. Oh, Steve's here now. Wonderful.
Hello, Steve.
Hey, good job. What's good?
Just having an issue getting in for some reason. I don't know what was going on, but here I am.
Here we go.
Fantastic.
Bit of Luke thoughts.
Glad to have you. Welcome.
Shall I continue talking? Yeah, we're talking about my first experiences with Ghouls N Ghosts, Steve. That's what we're talking about. So obviously, we just talked about how like my father, got it and he returned it because I played it for a bit as a kid. It was his game, but he returned it. And obviously, the next experience was this thing, and I played it on this for a bit. And then obviously, because for the purpose of the show, we're reviewing this game, and I knew it was notoriously difficult. Now, there are obviously different versions of this, which I am aware of, being what I am. So I know there's a Master System variant. I know there's a PC Engine or TurboGrafx 16 variant. I've actually got the arcade variant as well as part of my Capcom Home Arcade. I've got all those variants, and even the Ghosts and Goblins on the NES Classic Mini, that version as well. But we're talking about the Mega Drive version, the Genesis version of this game. So yes, it certainly was a challenge, and it's a game that you're gonna have to have patience with, you have to learn with, and you're gonna have to keep going at it. Yes, I did complete the game, so yay! Yes, I did it.
Nice,
I
nice,
did it.
nice.
Just like I did with
Well
Revenge of Shinobi. I didn't give up, and this isn't a game for quitters.
Well
Okay, that's what I will say. But yeah, to answer the question, early memory, father got it. He's not got past the first level. I didn't bother picking up again because there's other games that I'll probably play. He had enough. He was more into simulation games, my dad. But yeah, that's another story. So that's my thoughts on that.
one.
Back to you, Dan.
Yeah, right, sweet. Steve, seeing as you've just jumped on, buddy, we will get your first memories of Ghouls and Ghosts, mate.
So my very first memories of this game come from the Nintendo Entertainment System because that's where I originally started playing this game. It's a slightly different version, obviously, but extremely similar in a lot of ways. So, I was already familiar with the fact that you're gonna die like 9 bazillion times to try to get through. It's like it's not a long game either. It's like it's only these few little areas, these little levels, and you're done. And they show you the map as you go through each stage, and you're like, this looks like it's going to be simple. And you could be stuck on the same spot for 25 minutes continuing, like who knows how many times. You can continue forever. So you're just continuing, trying to get past this one spot, and you finally figure it out, and you finally get by it, and you're through, and that's it. So the fact that you have to beat the game 2 times, 11-year-old me or 10-year-old me, it was like I was so angry. I'll never forget like how upset I was. Like when I finally beat it, I'm like, I beat you. Like at the end, like a creep show when he swims away from the thing at the raft and he's sitting on the shore. He's like, I beat you, and then like the thing comes over him and just takes him. That's exactly what it felt like the first time that I played this game and got to the end. And then you have to do it all over again. The Genesis version is great though. I mean, like as far as if you compare the looks to the two, I mean the Genesis version looks so much better. But very similar gameplay, So for me, I was ready for it when I got it on Genesis. I'm like, I know exactly what that game is. And I played it in the arcade. Awesome game, man. I really always just loved it. It's kind of strategic in a lot of ways too, which I enjoy in games because it's all about having the correct weapon at the correct time, And those were all things that I learned, in my first experiences of playing it. That's one of the most important things. Making those choices correctly, because certain weapons are going to get you through areas, and if you get the wrong one and you have to wait for the right one to pop back up, so that you can finish an area, it could be rough on you. So making those choices, man, so important, And I'm glad I learned that early on, and I really, I got to say, it's like one of my top 10 favorite games. It's just such a good classic game, man.
Nice one, mate. Right. Nice one. Lovely job. Well, I my first memories of it were it obviously we're in the arcades, but I never actually got to play it in the arcades. I actually saw a review for this in the Complete Guide to Consoles, and it got 98%, which was like a record high review at the time. So when this was coming out for the Mega Drive, I was really hyped for it. I was like 98%. Oh, I've got to have that. Got to have it. But I couldn't find it anyway. I was wanting it as an early title, as an early purchase, but I just couldn't find it anyway. So I kind of forgot about it. I left it, and then about 9 months later, I borrowed it off somebody, and I was like, wow, how could I have almost forgot about this great game? And I got really embroiled in it, into it, definitely. So as soon as I could afford a copy, I bought it straight away. So it were and like Steve says there, the game itself is I mean, we'll move on to that anyway. We'll move on to talking about what we think of the game now. And for me, it's still nearly a perfect game. It really is. And the reason Steve's mentioned there is a massive plus for me is that the weapon inclusion in it, the fact that the weapon drops are random, really force you to think differently. You know, I mean, you can't every time you play, you can't rely on a certain weapon at a certain time like you can in a lot of games. So you have to be on your toes, and as well as that, the enemy patterns can vary. I'm not sure how many there are. I think there's like three or five, something like that, different variants on in certain sections. But between that and the weapon drops, this is a game I go back to time and time again because it's just so replayable. Because you can master it, you can know everything about it and master it, and it's still different each time you play it. So, so what do you think, Rick? What do you think? What's your thoughts on it now, mate?
So my thoughts on the game today. The game is a masterpiece. I never saw the game in the arcades. I didn't get to play the arcade version until a lot later on my Super Retrocade, and I noticed that the Genesis version is almost like a direct port of the arcade version. I mean, as close as the Genesis could come with the hardware limitations at the time, they nailed it. I mean, they really. It's one of those few titles on the Genesis where it just comes so close to arcade quality that it's just immaculate. The gameplay holds up. It is a 2-player alternating turn type of game, and me and my friends, we played this game so much back in the day that we got so good at it that we were able to do no death runs. Not only were we able to do no death runs, but we would have competitions with each other to see who could beat the game first. And we would have to flip a coin to see who would go first, because if the first player whoever got up to play for the player one, player two may not get a chance to play because we had memorized the game to that level. It's like Dan said, it's the perfect game. It has everything. It's a 2D side view platformer, which is near and dear to my heart, and it's got like the horror theme, which is also very much up my street, but kind of puts that little sort of cutesy spin to it. Not really serious horror, but just that kind of flavor. It's a great game and remains a great game, and it will always be probably in my top 10.
Nice one, mate. Nice one, mate. What about you, Viraj? Do you like it as much as Rick?
Not as much as Rick. It's a very good game. It's a very good game for the system. A very good early game for the system. We're talking, this thing came out, 89, 1990? Obviously, it's based on the 88 arcade game, or 89 arcade game.
89 release it was,
89 release arcade. Right, so...
89 for Sega, 88 for arcade.
Right, so, again, like what Rick mentioned about how, it's a... Look at the arcade version. Was it Steve who mentioned this? About the arcade version, how the Mega Drive or Genesis version is literally very close to it. And one thing I noticed, because I do have the arcade game on my Capcom Home Arcade, is that the Mega Drive controls are tighter. I actually think the Mega Drive actually plays a lot better. I just want to make that clear. I think the experience is better for Mega Drive. I'll also say that when you task me with the challenge, because I'm I'm the odd one out, because I'm the youngest out of us. I keep saying that, but I never really played through this game. And I love you guys because you make me play these games that the daddy games, that I never played because I was a youngster with the Mega Drive. But when I went and played this game, I'll tell you my experience as well. When I properly sat down and thought, let's do this. So I played through it. Okay, and the first level was a breeze, to be honest. And the second level was a breeze as well. Okay. Apart from the tortoises, but we'll get to that in a bit. Okay. Now, when you play on, and I remember I reminded you guys something. So when you play on practice, obviously, if you play practice mode and you play through the game once, the second time play is actually automatically on professional mode anyway. I have beaten it on obviously on professional mode. If you play it professionally, play it professional twice over. That's basically
yeah.
But I think if I can play it professional once, I can do it again. So I thought, let's play practice. So I did it. Now, the first time I played practice mode, that was all right. I got through it. And you had to go back, obviously. And I can understand why people were like, forget this. I'm not playing this game again. I can understand why people put it down. They gave up at that point. I get it. But I thought, you know what? And when you play a second time through, it is a different game in how it plays and how it challenges you. It is a harder game. There are blocks in ways. Enemies behave differently. Level design is a little different and whatnot. The second level, when you get on professional mode, I had issues with those tortoises that spit out green junk at you because there were just so many coming at once. And I personally think maybe I was unlucky. Maybe I kept getting that enemy attack, which meant, I can't get out of this. Or maybe I sucked. I don't know. I did get past it eventually in my underwear. But I got there past there, and I found that really funny as well. Like, yeah, you can run around in the underwear in the game. It's interesting that strips off. And that's from Ghosts and Goblins, its predecessor. That the sequel, Ghouls N Ghosts, has that fun aspect to it. But yeah, you have to keep moving. This game, you have to keep moving. You have to be quick. You can't just sit there and they're like,
well,
you have to move. You have to be strategic. You have to keep your eye on what's coming at you.
It's a very fast game, isn't it?
Very fast.
You
got to be quick. Game. You have to make sure you have the right weapon, and that's the key thing that you guys have mentioned. It's just one of those things.
So important.
You can die so many times if you've got the wrong weapon. Yeah, you could die so many times if you've just got the wrong weapon. And sometimes
when you fall and pick up, or somebody drop when the
wrong weapon.
And you get a blue flame or
that's the worst. That's the worst. Like, so sometimes it's like, why did I get that? Or sometimes you can't avoid getting the wrong weapon, so that's going to happen as well. But it was a joy to play through, and I can understand Rick did like a no-death challenge. I can understand you. If you play this game enough times, you're going to get there. You're going to be that good at it.
Yeah.
But it's not a particularly long game. It's quite a short game as well.
Yeah.
Like what Steve mentioned, you can get through it. I found it quite challenging the second time round, but I got through there. And obviously, you get a last boss the second time round.
Yes.
Okay, that Loki's his name, and that was interesting how to take him out. I wouldn't say that he was an anti-climax by any means, because he in himself is a challenge. But there's obviously a hack which I'm not going to explain here. I don't want to spoil the boss battle. There's a way around it that I worked out. When let's just say he moves his legs up and down, and I found a way to sort of really take him out a lot quicker. But you got to keep attacking. That's the key. You got to keep moving, keep attacking with these bosses, and you can get through it. But all in all, it's a very, very, very good Mega Drive game. And for the 1990 release, we're talking a release title more or less. We're talking a game that came out when this thing came out. Graphically, it was beautiful. The audio was beautiful. It had that arcade Sega feel. And Sega programmed a Capcom game. So odd one out of all the games reviewed. It's a Capcom game. But Sega made it, reprogrammed it for their system. Yuji Naka did a great job with it. I hope he's enjoying himself in prison. But he did a good job with that game, and I liked it. I really did like this game, and I think something that because it's a gauntlet. Can you beat Ghouls and Ghosts? Have you beaten? There's two types of people before. Have you those who have beaten Ghouls and Ghosts and those who have not? And today I went to the game. Today I actually went to the gaming market, and there's a friend of them there I met. And I goes, "Do you know what? I beat Ghouls and Ghosts a couple of weeks ago," and I was proud of myself because, "Oh, you did! You smashed it, man! I could never." As he was telling me, like, "Oh, you actually beat that game." Not a lot of people have beaten that game or given it the time. I think people you have to be patient, and you have to have that grit to go ahead. People give up too easy these days.
Yeah.
The problem. They're like, I can't do this. Game's impossible. It's a quarter muncher. But it's actually not really. If you play the Mega Drive version, it isn't.
I couldn't not play it. It was that addictive. Do you know what I mean? That's what I find weird is that people give up because they're losing. And when I die in games like this, I enjoy it because I think how clever that death was, how much it checked it all.
With respect, you guys come from a time where you were teenagers at this time when this thing was coming out. Video games were limited. This was cutting edge at the time. Obviously, when I'm playing this, I had a variety of things that I could play and put my enjoy. And even then, like when games like this can get left behind very quickly because new games are coming out and you find okay, Ghouls and Ghosts is quickly around, but there's this game that's come out, this game's come out, so it gets left behind. So when you guys said, "I'll give this game a go," I know about this game. I thought, just like I knew about Revenge of Shinobi, but these guys are going to test me. These guys are. Dan and Rick are sadists. They want to put me through some pain here. But it was it was a pleasurable pain. Let's put it that way.
It's got infinite continues as well, isn't it?
But yeah, it's infinite. It's forgiving. It's unforgiving.
So,
and you start off where you like. So I played it on the Mega Drive Mini. Okay, so obviously I'm not using authentic hardware, but I'm playing the game. The emulation is pretty decent on this. I think it plays very well. But when obviously because I'm a working man now, all right, and I haven't got the time to leave my Mega Drive on overnight. Obviously, I did use save states, but I used where I would continue naturally if I was to turn it off. I didn't cheat, and it's very easy to cheat in this game. I can proudly say, honestly, just like with Revenge of Shinobi, I left where I would naturally die. That's the only time you do save states. So, kids out there, if you want to save state every second, go and play a Nintendo, man. You ain't fit for this, yeah? That's right. You know what I mean? Play the game like be a man, and do the right thing. That's what I'll say to you.
So anyway, hang on, mate.
So I played the game fully, and yes, I died. I took it like a man. I started again, and those turtles drove my. That took me 2 days to get past. It took me 2 days, but do you know what? I persevered and I did it. And for those of you who think I can't do it, you can do it. Yeah. You just got to keep going at it, and that's the beauty of this game. Similar vibe with Revenge of Shinobi. I actually found Revenge of Shinobi harder than Ghouls N Ghosts, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a longer game. It's a longer game, and you do run out continue. You start all the way at the beginning. With Ghouls N Ghosts, you don't. That's what's the beauty of this game is. It's more accessible than Revenge of Shinobi. Yes. So yes, I really, really did enjoy this game. Yes, there were parts of it like the tortoises, which I think is unforgiving, a little bit too harsh. But that's the only criticism that I could give that game.
Well, that's fantastic.
That's the only criticism. For those of you who have not played this game, what are you doing?
Sort your lives out. Play it now.
Those who love arcade games, haven't played this game and beaten this game, what are you doing? Yeah.
And just to go back to the point, mate, what you mentioned about Sega's reprogramming, I prefer the darker tone of the colours on this.
Oh, right.
They've just obviously released the arcades souped up version hack for the Mega Drive. And to me, I'm not that interested in it. I prefer the darker tones on the Mega Drive.
I mean, I actually really like this game. I haven't told you guys yet. Rick will be an interesting one. So, New Wave Toys have actually done a minicade of this. They're launching a minicade with the Ghouls and Ghosts and Ghosts and Goblins in one. And I've actually ordered that, so that'll be fun. Because I like, after I played this, I thought I liked it that much, it's worth buying. It's actually a critically acclaimed arcade. It deserves being in my collection. But obviously, we're talking about the Mega Drive game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Interesting. I might have to check that out.
Get it tucked in, mate. What about you, Steve, my lad? What's your thoughts on this now?
It holds up, obviously. If it didn't, nobody would be doing remakes of this game. And there are, and some really good ones. It's obviously, it's a favorite among a lot of people. You can tell anytime that you want to buy a copy of this game, it's not cheap. This isn't like a $20, $25 game. Because it's sought after. And it wasn't that I would say it was, it wasn't like a low production run. It's just that good. And it's still that good, in my personal opinion. As far as the Genesis game goes, it's up there, man. It's just a great game. It's a staple. And, there's little quirks and stuff like that in the game that, always kind of bothered me a little bit. But it's just such a good game. I get past it. There's some cheap deaths, but that's part of this game. There's going to be some cheap deaths. Like you just got to that platform that you were trying to get to, and the little, vine of fire just brushes by the edge of your toe, pile of bones, that stuff is just going to happen in this game. Or the one thing that always really annoyed me was running. It's like, dude, Arthur's running at like Mach 10, but he's only moving on the screen at so it's like, okay, go. And then you get hit. If you get hit with that one spell from that thing that appears, it turns you into an old man with like a cane, and now you're moving even slower. It's like
I mean that's just beautiful.
There's so much clever stuff in this game.
That's beautiful programming. When people talk about things being hard, that to me is super clever because. Yeah, you nearly, depending on your situation, but 9 out of 10 times, if you get transformed into an old man, you're going to die pretty shortly. You can't really do much, especially certain places. Yeah, exactly. Certain places in the late levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost like the programmers of this game were like, "Yo, how can we torment people even more? Like, look, we're gonna make the guy run like he's running at 90 miles an hour, but he's only going to be moving at like a snail's pace. And then, just when they're like angry about that and they think that that's bad, let's make them into an old man and make them move even slower. Now you appreciate how fast you normally run.
Yeah.
You know what happens.
Bang on,
It's
mate.
just a clever game, man. This really is like just really clever, like, you know, creativity and thought went into making it, you know, and that's one of the things I've always appreciated about it. So I really feel like it does stand up today. You know, there's not a lot of games that I can say have as much thought that went into them as this game. As simple as it may be, like layout wise and everything, it's just tons of thought into it, and it's always different every time. You know, just like Springs.
Mate.
It really
love
is
it,
smart,
mate. Love it. Yeah, sweet. I mean, right then, we'll go around and then we'll get your ratings on it, boys, and your final thoughts. So again, back to your good self, Rick. What's your rating and your final thoughts on this, mate?
So, as I said, I love this game. I always have. I always will. It's hard for me to really give any criticisms to it. I feel like it's an immaculate game. They really put a lot of effort and polish into it, and it's just a really well thought out, well executed 2D platformer game. And my rating for it is going to be a 9.
Oh, yeah, well done.
Lovely.
That's a nice colouring you did there. That's colouring.
Yes, I like that, mate.
That's it. So yeah, okay, it's a 9. Okay, I really like this game. It's obviously playing it. There is a level of self-actualization when you beat it. You know how I mentioned with Revenge of Shinobi when you get to the end, our previous review that we did together. I felt really good when beating this game because even though it's a short game, it's an adventure.
Yes.
You feel like you have literally gone on an adventure to save the princess. Forget Mario, man. Yeah, that ain't an adventure yet. All right?
Yeah.
This is a proper man's adventure. You're a man, all right? And you wear underwear with hearts on it. That you're in love. All right? So, you know, it's a love story. It's a best love story. Still a better love story than Twilight. So you know what I mean? They know the princess. And you are fine. I love the character design. I know I didn't mention this. I love the character design. I know Steve-O made a point about the cheap deaths with the most interesting cheap deaths. This is going to make you laugh. Level 2 really did me in because when you get past those turtles, then you get those sand dune bits with the ditches, and there's the little the caterpillar.
Yeah.
Not caterpillar. The I don't know.
Worms,
pincer worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but when you pass it, thinking, thank God, there's going to be a point where I can I'll spawn. If I die, I'll spawn at a certain point. And I was like, yes, I'm going to respawn. And obviously, there's that little flaming windmill, isn't it? You have to run through it. That's great.
And then you get your demon come down.
Right, the demon's throwing a skull at you. I literally got hit by that demon. Okay, as soon as it hit me, it killed me. I was in my underwear at that point.
Back to the beginning.
Back to the beginning. You have to be literally the point where you can continue is when you run past that demon, and that's where it is. I was like, oh, I just got past these tortoises. You know, I was like, oh, damn it, man! I have to do this again. No, I'm not. I got really. I almost rage quit at that point. I got so angry. I said, no, I'm gonna have ice cream. So I ice cream. I'll continue to go back. But ice cream is a good food to chill out with. You just have some ice cream if you get angry. So anyway. I would say there are moments where it does really, really. That's the only part of it that really got me. Those bloody tortoises, because the bouncing, one's bouncing there, one of them's crawling up your backside. Two of them are looking at you. You're like, and you're attacking, and then you're like, oh, this green thing is there. It's coming out of a diagonal. Can I jump over it in time before I go there? No, but if I go there, this one's going to bounce, and it bounces over you, and you're dead. You're damned if you jump. You're damned if you hit it. You're damned if you go backwards. Can't go front. Can't go back. Can't go up. You're dead. That's it. So that's the only part that really bothers me with this game. But look, the art design is great. The music is great. The controls are tight. I think. Go on. What are you saying, Rick? You want to say something?
Yeah, the part you were talking about with the tortoises, like if you think that's bad, I mean, the difficulty curve on this game, like there are situations that they can put you in. What, like, suppose, check this out, and this has happened to me before. What if you get stuck on the worm with the sword?
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Stage 4 boss.
I've actually,
yeah.
I've actually beaten the worm with the sword, and let me tell you, it took like 50, 60 tries to try to do that.
You deserve a medal for that. I want to see a video of you beating him with that sword. I want to see that. But I'll say the easiest level is level 3 with the cloud level.
Yeah, that's where I always screw up. I always screw up on the tongue bits. I always screw up on the tongue bits.
I find that easy. Maybe because I played so many platformers, I find that easy.
Possibly.
The second level is one where I get done, but I think everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses. That's a great. It really does test your strengths of because it's that level is platform heavy. Yeah, but level 2 is like, okay, you got to be evasive and quick. Level 4 is like, oh, you got to be like a ninja in that one, man. Because level 4 is intense because there's so much coming at you. And then the one before that, the penultimate level is very.
Well, the last one's a boss rush, isn't it? Really. Yeah. So,
but when those demons come at you, I found the demons hard because there's so many different ways and they spit a spike at you and all sorts of stuff. I managed to find a way after dying sometimes what their patterns were, and I found a way to take them out. If you die enough times, you watch them move. You're like, okay, I go there, and that's it. So it's really clever how they program that because you die like so many times before you work it out. Yeah. I think it's really clever taking out those demons. But ultimately, I really do love this game. But
so what's your rating then, mate?
My rating is the same as Rick. It's a 9.
It's another 9. It's another 9. Superb. Yeah. Right, lovely. What about you then, Steve?
Yeah, this game, man, what a roller coaster of emotion you go through when you play it. I mean, seriously, there's so many ups and downs. Like, there's moments where you're gonna feel like the worst in your life because you can't get through something, and then when you finally do get through something, you get such a serotonin release, that it keeps you going and makes you want to keep playing the game. Some of us are just super meticulous about being able to complete something, you know what I mean? So it's like, we have to do it. If you commit to this game, you have to commit 100%. And you're going to be exhausted at the end of a session of playing it emotionally and physically because it just takes that out of you. There's no other game I could think of that does that for me. There are games that like have you on the edge of your seat a little bit once in a while, certain parts. This whole game can be that for you. And it's a 9 for me, man. It really is. It's just a great game.
Another 9. Another
999. Call the ambulance.
Right. Well, yeah. I'm like I say, lads. A lot of the points you touched on there, I think, have been fantastic. One thing that I think Viraj mentioned earlier is the actual journey that you go on. I love the variety of this, similar to Golden Axe, what we talked about, similar to Revenge of Shinobi. You go on a genuine journey. You know what I mean? No two sections are the same. No two stages are the same. It's got great checkpoints, unlike your Super Nintendo version. Your Super Nintendo version puts you back to halfway through the stage. This, you get a checkpoint at a boss. So once you get through them grueling stages, you can feel that relief of, thank fucking hell, I've managed that. I love the difference between practice and professional. I think professional, when I first played that difficulty, it would fantastic how much it made me have to change my thinking of getting through certain sections. So this, to me, is a game that's got it all. I think it is almost a perfect game. My only criticism is that double play to finish it. I think that's. I think as a kid, that's fine. I think as an adult, it's very rare I actually force myself to play through it twice now, because if I'm putting a game like this on, I want to play something for 20, 30 minutes while my dinner's cooking, whilst my missus is getting ready. And once I've done it once, sometimes I play it through second time, depending if I've got the time to do it. But other times I think, well, I don't know if I can bother to go all the way through that again now. So I think that's a little bit of a shame that once you've done that for the first time, you can't return to it and just play it through once, and play the final boss at the same time. But other than that, I'm actually going to rank it higher than you, lads, because I just think it's so replayable. I just think, honestly, like I say, the changes in enemy patterns, the changes in weapon variety, the journey, everything. For me, it's a 9.6. I'm going 9.6 on this. Really so
let's have a look at that box art again. I want to have a look at your box art. Let's have a look. Now, as a young boy, You know, in the Sega Mega Drive, if you actually bought a Sega Mega Drive, there's actually a flyer that came with it, and it folds out. I haven't got it with me today. Next time we'll do a review, I'll show it, maybe. But it showed that game, and as a boy, I was mesmerized by that box art. I was like, wow, that box art's a 10. That box art is like one of the best looking box art. What is this? It's mystery, it's adventure, it's action, it's got lightning power. This is an awesome box art. I love that. That's a 10. That's a 10 out of 10 box art. I just want to put that out there. So I don't mean to drop you, but I want to put that out there.
I probably should have filmed this if I could upstairs, because I've got that on my as a poster on my wall, and it looks, even when it's blown up, it looks like Space Area. It looks even more impressive. Amazing, so I think Steve disappeared to find his.
Man, I'm looking for it. It's up here. Oh, there it is.
You got it, bud.
The Genesis one.
American
Genesis. It's the same. It just says Genesis.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing, isn't it?
So, well, I've got, obviously we know that there's different variants in different regions, but that's exactly the same. They got it right in both areas, because it looks 10 10 in both.
So his total score for that then is 91.5%. So we'll round that up to 92%.
Oh,
so 92% is still shit out. It's not. It's Revenge of Shinobi still tops it, but you know what I mean. 92% still massive in it. You've got to play that. Who is that the evil?
That's the NES one.
Nintendo.
Well, it's obviously the first game, isn't it, in the series, and it was on the NES. So that was available. Yeah. But yeah, it's that is actually a bit more unforgiving in my opinion. But anyway.
Sweet. Nice one. Right, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure again. I look forward to chatting to you all on the next session then.
Yeah, I look forward to it too. Take care, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good one. And Sega!
Sega!
Sega!